Reports of mass killings in the west of Ivory Coast as heavy fighting continues for a third day in the main city, Abidjan. Friendly fire casualties in Libya as a NATO airstrike in the east kills at least 13 rebels. And a shortage of ballot papers causes voting to be suspended in Nigeria's parliamentary elections. This is BBC World News. Hello and welcome. I'm Peter Dobbie.
And I'm Amelia Harris. Coming up in sport today in around 15 minutes' time. Fans in Mumbai celebrate as India win the Cricket World Cup, beating Sri Lanka by 6 wickets.
In Ivory Coast, there are reports that at least 800 people have been massacred in one single town as widespread political violence continues to affect the country. The Red Cross says the attacks happened in Douekwe in the west. Heavy fighting, meanwhile, has erupted again in Abidjan, the main city in Ivory Coast, between supporters of the country's two presidential rivals. There are reports of heavy gunfire and explosions. From Ivory Coast, Andrew Harding now reports.
Fresh from the front lines, wounded soldiers, loyal to the elected President Alassane Ouattara. The battle for Abidjan is costing many lives. Nowhere feels safe now. Terrified civilians run the gauntlet. Millions trapped in the city as the conflict rages on. These troops back Laurent Gbagbo, who lost last year's presidential election. They're outnumbered, many have fled, but the remainder are putting up a strong fight.
This is the road to Abidjan. Forces loyal to Alassane Ouattara have been rushing to reinforce the front lines. The ferocious battle for the city is lasting longer than many had expected, as Laurent Gbagbo and his remaining supporters make a desperate last stand.
Wants him to step down to stop happening yet. Andrew Harding, BBC News, Ivory Coast.
Well, for more on that story, let's go live to John James. He's our correspondent in Bouaké, which has been Mr. Ouattara's power base for the past few months. John, why is this battle taking longer than people thought it was going to take?
Well, I think it's in part